Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited to have you here. We are here with Christina. I am so excited. She is here and she is a health coach and she supports actually not just women, like men and women who are in recovery and, want to, take back their time and to create a different experience of life for themselves. And so I'm going to have Christina just kind of share a little bit about what it is that she does, why she's so passionate about this, and all of the good things. So, Christina, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Vincent, this is like a real treat. I love talking about recovery. I myself have been sober for just over 13 years. And so, just to give you a little background, not like pre-sober, because that's a whole other day and a whole other conversation, but
Mhm.
um, I did start off my recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous and, went through the 12-step program with a sponsor and really stayed close to the program for about 10 years. And then at that point, some stuff in life happened and I had to make some changes and some shifts. COVID also happened. So we were all doing our meetings on Zoom. And then coincidentally, just at that time in my life, I was actually going through and trying to heal from an emotional bottom that I had actually had in my recovery about 5 years in. And
Mhm.
so I started to look for solutions to my specific problems outside of the rooms of AA.
Mhm.
'Cause I just found that I wasn't finding the support that I needed. And
Mhm.
I kind of came to this realization that that's okay. Like AA is not going to be able to help me with everything in life and all of
Right.
these health issues that I'm having that are associated with my disease, but like not, I didn't relapse, I didn't drink,
Mhm.
but the support that I needed was just, I needed to find it somewhere else. So I
Yeah.
kind of went on that journey. It was a long, treacherous journey by myself, which is why I do what I do today, because I don't want women to go through the same thing I did by themselves. And yeah, I kind of discovered this pathway back to health and healing and actually rising to a whole new level in my recovery and just in my life at the 5 year mark of my
Mhm.
recovery. So that's kind of where this whole where I've taken my health coaching. So I'm actually supporting women who are already in recovery.
Mhm.
So I'm not a sober coach,
Mhm.
but my programs and the work that I do with them works beautifully alongside, like if they choose to work a 12-step
Mhm.
program. It's like
Mhm.
the marriage is just really, really beautiful. So yeah, I meet them where they're at in there's this place of recovery. And this is both women who are alcoholic and women who have a loved one that's an alcoholic. They both need recovery programs. So they're
Yeah.
all, alcoholism affects the entire family. If
Mhm.
you are in the world of alcoholism, you know that everyone becomes sick. I hate to
Mhm.
use the word sick,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. And that chaos, right? That world of chaos and unmanageability and powerlessness, we all feel it, like on both sides.
Yeah.
So everyone needs recovery, because of the
Right.
alcoholics drinking. But so that's kind of how that all starts. So that's why I decided to support women on that side of it too,
Mhm.
because they also have, I mean, actually, the pathway I put together works beautifully for both women.
Mhm.
But I meet them where they're at in that point of their recovery. And, a lot of them come to me by the time they come to me, they're reaching their own bottoms. It
Mhm.
could be an emotional health crisis, it could be a physical health crisis, or they just feel like stuck and complacent, which is
Mhm.
not a good place to be. If you're in recovery, it's not a good place to be at all. And they really want so badly to rise, like in their recovery in their life. They're just looking for that next level. Like,
Mhm.
I'm sober now, what, or
Yeah.
my husband's off at rehab and like getting his help. Like now, like what's for me? What's for me?
Mhm.
And everybody's kind of coming feeling so powerless again and feeling
Mhm.
like they don't have control over all of these aspects of their life, which directly affects their health. And so then they kind of find themselves in that place of powerlessness again
Right.
and with a victim mindset. And
Mhm.
so it's just like not where we want to be when we're already on this path to recovery. So
Yeah,
that's kind of where I meet these women.
I love this.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I just wanted to say is I love how you talk about how recovery is not just for the alcoholic. It is for also a spouse or for the family because it touches in so many different ways and that you are basically serving both sides, which is beautiful, right? It's not just, someone who's in recovery that struggled with recovery. Yes, it's for them, but it's also for any other woman who might be, a spouse, a partner, a friend, a loved one of somebody who is, going through that, and we can support them too. So
Yeah.
thank you for like speaking into that because I think that a lot of times the family, while I know we've got Ellen on, for those that are, members of the family or people who have been also impacted by alcoholisms, that is not, they're although they don't have alcoholism, this piece is so important. And so thank you for speaking into the both and. It's not just one or the other, it's the both and. I'm curious, Christina, what are some of the like health issues that you kind of noticed is, kind of affected you that had you say, no, I'm done here. It's time for me to do this differently.
Yeah. So my personal story and experience with this was I was going about my sober journey just so beautifully. But the thing was, I, for the first couple years, like they do encourage that you keep things simple.
Hmm.
And so my life came crashing down so hard. Like I literally started with a clean slate. I had no money. I had been in jail more than once.
Hmm.
I had been in a homeless shelter. Like that's really where I got sober and started this journey. No job, no car, no money. Like I literally was starting life over. And
Wow.
so I was happy to live a very simple life and just to keep things very simple. So I kept it that way for probably like a good 4 years. My life looked like I'd wake up, I'd go to work, I'd go to my meeting, I'd come home, take care of some of my personal business, and like that was it. And I was happy to keep it that way. There really wasn't too much of a social life. There was no dating. That was my
Hmm.
rule. I
Hmm.
really needed laser focus on myself and really
Hmm.
just the building blocks of my life again. I needed to just rebuild. And so about 4 years in, I dipped my toe into dating and I kind of practiced, which was nice. But then well, I didn't meet. I started dating a guy that I had actually known for quite a long time.
Hmm.
And he came stumbling into the rooms of AA, and I didn't date him for a year, would not touch him for a year, is like the rule, right? We don't date for the first year. And once it was like his first year anniversary, I was like, okay, we can date.
Yeah.
So I like did not want to date this person at all either. I was like in deniil about it. But anyway, I went for it and it really came crashing down and like just dismantled in a horrible way within the first year of our being in like a committed relationship to each other. And so after the breakup, there was like a 4 year period where we were very entangled with each
Mm.
other. And
Yeah.
so this was just an area of my life that I thought I was ready for, but I discovered like I don't have the tools for this at all.
Mm.
And everything that I had worked to like build in myself, like my sense of self, my purpose, my
Mm.
resiliency, my strength, my confidence, my independence, I felt like it was gone like
Mm.
throughout this entanglement. And so I became extremely sick in this
Mm.
relationship. It was not healthy for either one of us. And in that 4 year period, with 2 years into that, I had hit a point, another bottom, where I had decided that I needed to detach from this person. And it was,
Mhm.
I didn't know what to do or how to do it.
Right.
AA wasn't the place to go and find the
Right.
solution for that. All I knew was that if I didn't do something, it could lead me back to a drink. And that's always
Right.
like the fear that we live with is like, if you don't stay in balance in all these areas of your health, like at the end of that road is the drink.
Right.
So I I it was affecting my health physically. I had like severe anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I was losing weight. I couldn't eat. And for someone that had suffered an eating disorder years ago, like I was actually happy that I was losing weight from this crisis.
Wow.
Which, yeah, so that was just not a good mental space to be in.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
like I was starting to unravel.
Hmm.
And my behaviors, my thinking and my behaviors were very codependent.
Hmm.
Codependent, codependency is just a whole other illness. Like it
Yeah.
just,
Right.
so
Hmm.
I like had no idea I had that in me. And so I was reverting back to like old behaviors, right? Old thinking, that didn't get me, that wasn't like, that was what got me into AA. So, um, I, I started on this journey to just like find the support that I needed. It took me about 2 more years to crawl out of it. And when I say crawl, I crawled. And, it's just, there's, that was my experience with it and how that just kind of affected all the other areas of my health. But like I said,
Hmm.
could ultimately lead me to a drink. So I know that there's people that are outside recovery that experience these things too, but
Hmm.
how this pertains to someone that's in recovery, like the that thought of going back to a drink to cope is like the it's what's at the end of the road. It's what we don't want to have happen. So that's why it's just so extremely important to meet people like while they're even in recovery, because I think there's this misconception sometimes that like when the alcoholic gets sober, everything's going to be better for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not always the case. Like things come up. Like we
Hmm.
need tools like for like lifelong, we need lifelong habits. We need
Yep.
like to develop a lifestyle that's going to support us emotionally and physically on our journey. And I think people, sometimes get sober and complacent and like that's all they need. And I honestly believe that God put this relationship in my life to shake me up
Mm.
because I was kind of getting complacent. I was
Hmm.
living just a mediocre life, keeping it simple. And I do believe that God put me here to do this work that I'm doing today. And he wasn't, if he was sitting here talking to me right now, he would have been like, okay, Christina, now let's talk. Like,
Yeah.
I really, this was my plan for you, and I'm watching you, and you're not picking up on the sign. So I'm going to like throw this relationship in there and shake you up. You're going to have to muddle through it, and you're going to come out the other side having learned your lessons, being, having this new sense of self, extremely empowered, and you're going to find this new path, which is what happened.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go become a health coach?
You
All of
know,
that? Were you like just
it's
like, all
fun.
right, I need to
No,
learn this?
I first wanted to, so I was seeing a therapist at the time, which
Mhm.
like I didn't help,
Mhm.
but I think I just enjoyed talking to somebody at that point. I actually think that I was like giving her therapy at the end. Like I think she, no, I think she had her own relationship stuff going on, so she like forward to her sessions because like she saw me kind of getting myself out of it. And I
Mm.
think I would go in and tell her about it. And I think she was like, I felt like I was like, wait, you should be paying me. Like, what's going on? So, um, yeah. So, what was the question?
Oh, the health coach. And what made you decide to go get certified as a health coach?
I think once I made this declaration, which at the time I didn't know about making declarations to the universe and asking the universe for things and energy heal. I hadn't read The Secret yet. I hadn't like studied the law of attraction. So I had no idea. But when I declared that I wanted change and that I wanted to change this in my life, and
Mhm.
I was going to go any lengths to do it, just like the decision I made when I decided to stop drinking alcohol.
Right.
I would go any lengths because I felt so horrible. Like I just didn't
Mhm.
want to feel this way anymore. And it
Mhm.
was like, well, you either stay entangled with this person and just put up with it and feel this way, or change your life and like
Yeah.
live the life that you want to live. And
Yeah.
so I chose that. And so I think once I made that declaration and I set that intention, I mean, I just kept getting aligned with the right things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was almost like the decision was made for me. I don't feel like I
Mhm.
made a decision to be a health coach. It was presented to me and I
Mhm.
didn't really know what that was. I was like, oh, what does a health coach do? Like I thought I was going to maybe be a psychologist or something. I
Mhm.
wanted to help people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see myself sitting in a chair with them on the other side and like
Yeah.
kind of counseling because I saw myself doing this with my therapist. And I was just like,
Yeah.
maybe I should be a psychologist like her. But then she told me like you'd be really limited in what you would be able to offer people. And she's like,
Yeah.
and you've got the essential oils that you do and all of that healing. And she's like, you've got all of these like other modalities that you're doing. She's like, I think you should look out. There's something bigger. I
Yeah.
don't really remember I think it was from my doTERRA guru Haley Hobson. I followed
Mhm.
her, like she's just like one of my idols. And I followed everything she did. She was just one of my role models. And she went to IIN where I ended up going. And I
Mhm.
reached out to her and I just asked her, I was like, where did you go for this health coaching
Mhm.
certification? And
Mhm.
she sent me the link and I went and I researched it. And I was like, oh my God, you can do all that as a health coach? Like you really
Yeah.
have that bandwidth?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe this is like, and I don't know, I just felt like truly aligned with it. So
Mhm.
I did through COVID, did the
Mhm.
certification, all that, but I still didn't know when I came out of like training, like what I was going to do with it,
Mhm.
nor
Mhm.
did I know how to like build a business with it. So
Yeah.
I joined like another company. So I did health coaching. I health coached in the area of weight loss, which I had no business being in that arena, but I did help some
Yeah.
women. And then I was like, in the area of like stress management and natural health solutions. I was
Mhm.
kind of like all over the place
Yeah. Yeah.
until I found like this niche really. I actually just had like a voice one night screaming at me, telling me like, I don't know, it was out of nowhere. And it was like, why are you not serving the sober woman?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, have I been scared to?
Mhm.
For some reason. So I just kind of like really sat with that. And I felt like I had landed
Mhm.
like home.
Mhm.
And then I was doing the market research. I'm writing a book on this whole pathway that I created. Actually, my programs evolved out of the book. Like as I was writing the book, it became very clear to me what this sober healing pathway really was.
Yeah.
So I was doing some market research for the book and just really wanted to dive in and like talk to women and find out like, let's talk about sobriety and mental health or what. And I was
Yeah.
just inviting them into interviews.
Yeah.
And these were such like, I mean, these conversations were beneficial to both of us because they were just like, oh my gosh, this felt so good to sit down and just like talk about this. Like, no, I
Mhm.
never talked about this. Like, we were told not to talk about it. And
Right.
all of these things were revealed. But the interesting thing was that the women who were coming forth to talk to me were the caretaker,
Mm.
the one who had the husband or the father or the child in
Who
the
is the alcoholic?
household that were either like maybe in rehab or
Mm.
drinking or whatever, and or had a story about it and they wanted to tell me like they wanted to talk and I'm like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, like they need help too. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how it all started. And I'm actually working more with women who are kind of on the other side of it, interestingly enough. And I'm like, you know what? Why wouldn't they want to hear from the alcoholic in recovery? Like they
Yeah.
don't understand the alcoholic and they want to so badly. But
Mhm.
the work that we do together it's like, it's all about them. I'm like, we're not
Mhm.
talking about your alcoholic husband.
Right.
This is
Right.
about you. This is your
Right.
time
Yep.
to reclaim yourself, to reclaim control over all of these things. The reclaiming the time is huge.
Mhm.
Like this mismanaged time, which kept coming up in all the conversations, seemed to be like they knew what they needed to do to take care of themselves, but they were just so used to this chaotic world that they were like, I don't know how to put it together. I don't know. I just need somebody to hold my hand and give me that. What they needed was a process. They need a system,
Mhm. Yeah.
step by
Yeah. Yeah.
step.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
love that you brought up the concept of time because, that is, whenever we kind of take a look at, what is the main thing that, people are needing? What are the things that our clients are struggling with the most? I love that you kind of honed in on they just feel like their environment is chaotic and their life is chaotic and they're not quite sure how to put it all together. And it is so true that when we have a process to follow, when we have a series of steps to follow, it allows us to take back ownership of our time and reclaim that control that we have over our time. And I'm so glad that you've landed on that because you actually teach that now. So can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about kind of like, how does reclaiming your time and, taking back control lead into actually a healthier, happier life and experience as you're, kind of still in this relationship?
Yeah. So first of all, I have my own signature time management system that I developed after being in a few boot camps with a particular coach quite a few years ago.
Mhm.
And it takes time to practice and hone it, but I made it my own.
Mhm.
And I decided to make it into my own like little mini program. It's actually
Yeah.
something that's within my framework, but I offer it as a master class, which I'm actually doing next week. It's a 3-day master class for women that really feel like they just don't have any control over their time. And, it's just like, again, it's just for this particular group of women, that feeling of powerlessness and not having
Mhm.
control is a really dangerous place to be. And it's really important. And people are like, how does like time management, what does that have to do with your health? I'm like, it has everything to do with your health.
Right.
It's my number one stress management tool above all things.
Mm.
Above all things. Like, so for example, because I have this system in place and I sit down on Sundays and I do my scheduling, my calendar, which
Mm.
to me is fun. I mean, I've learned to have fun with that. I was able to look at my calendar this week and, I'm going out of town on Friday. It was a very heavy week with a lot of calls, a lot of this. And I looked at my calendar because I have a visual representation of
Mhm.
it. And I was able to say, I got to clear clutter here.
Mhm.
It's like time to
Mhm.
clean out the closet. Let's do a decluttering. And I got to clear some space. I don't see any white space which means that I have no time for myself. And
Yep.
because I go through this process every week, I can I can clear that out in the beginning of the week and I don't find myself in the middle of the week completely out of balance, in chaos, stressed out, feeling like I have no control over anything, like I got nothing done.
Mhm.
Like that affects my health. That affects my stress level. It affects my level of anxiety. And that just leads to, stress and anxiety just leads to like go down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole with that. And
Yeah,
it
for
affects
sure. Yeah, and if you're not taking care of yourself or if you don't have that white space there, then, it also leads into not eating well, not
yes,
sleeping well, and again, higher cortisol level, which we know leads to other issues. And
yes.
yes, oh my gosh, this is so, so
Making
good.
poor decisions, like all of these
Mhm.
things these are alcoholic behaviors that we like work so hard to move away
Yeah.
from, making better decisions and just kind of having control over our life and just being able to breathe and get up and be like,
Mhm.
thank you God for another sober day. You don't want to be like, thank you God for another sober day, but today was hell and chaotic and I felt like I had no
Right,
control over anything, so I may as well have had a drink.
right.
So yeah, so it's, for me, that's just my number one stress management tool. And if I don't have it, me personally, I just don't thrive under that. I don't
Mhm.
thrive in chaos. And
Mhm. Yep.
I think when we were in our drinking and like, for the caretaker too, like when the alcoholic is in that chaos, so are they. And you get used to that world in a
Mhm.
sick
Mhm.
way. Like you get used to the chaos and like, people think like I can thrive on 3 hours of sleep. No, you can't.
No,
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 like
no.
I can survive on that. I function just fine. Or like you just, the adrenaline, it's like, no, there's nothing good about that. Believe
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, for sure. Tell us about your masterclass. I'm so super excited to hear about it. By the way, for those of you that are watching, definitely check in the description because we are going to make sure that you get the link to Christina's masterclass because I definitely will be registering for it. I probably won't be able to be there live because I'll be on vacation. However, I will absolutely be wanting to dive into the replay. So even if you can't make it live, definitely register for it so that you can get access to the replays, get access to the workbook, and just tell us more about this, Christina. This sounds amazing.
Yeah, so it's called Unlock Time Freedom, reclaiming control over your time, reclaiming
Mhm.
control over your health. And I, so on it's 3 days. And on
Mhm.
day one is really just taking a look at the different tools, like our calendar, like what calendar we're going to use, talking a little bit about how we're going to use the calendar. And they really just, I try to kind of pace them so they don't feel so overwhelmed with it.
Yeah.
So we go through that on day one, and then I'm giving them 24 hours to do sort of like we all like to clean out our closets, right? So it's kind of like a equivalent to cleaning out your closet. So you're going to make like, you're going to really do like an inventory of like how you're spending your time for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really interesting. I know it sounds tedious, but it's an absolutely crucial step. Then we come back together on day two and we do an audit of
Mhm.
their list, and we clean the closet, so to speak.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
basically, they're going to clean out a lot of the clutter. They're going to uncover where they're spending a lot of time where they don't need to be spending time. They kind of identify what their time suckers are,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
just kind of like end that session with like a clean list to work with. And then we come back and we go through a time blocking exercise. So they're going to learn
Mhm.
about time blocks, which is really the key piece to this scheduling. And they like literally will learn like how to name their time blocks, what goes in the time block, how you work with the time block, how you honor the time block. And this whole thing around time blocks is really setting boundaries.
Mhm.
It's really
Mhm.
like a way that we learn how to set boundaries, and then we learn how to honor our boundaries.
Mm.
And then I literally take them step by step of how to place the blocks in your calendar. And we might create like a week out.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then they always have the opportunity to come back with me and review their calendars. Like I have some options for them to come back. I have some incentives right now if they're signing up right now. I mean, they can work with me for an hour for free if they bring a friend and they're both there for the
Oh my
3 days.
God, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So, so they go through this step-by-step process, and the goal at the end of it is really, to really learn how to let things go, which
Mhm.
we have a problem with,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
learn how to surrender and let things go, and to identify like, well, this doesn't serve me, so this doesn't
Yep.
need to be here. I mean, it really
Yeah.
is. It's easier said than done to
Sure.
let things go.
Yeah.
So really learning how to focus on the things that, you know, really matter the most to us at this given time, like really
Mhm.
align with what we want out of our life, what is our vision, what are our goals, um, and then feeling really empowered with the setting of the boundaries.
Yeah.
I feel like once you have a calendar set for yourself, it makes it easier to say no,
Mhm.
because you have your accountability right here with
Yeah.
yourself. It
Yeah.
makes it easier to say no. Like I used to be the type of person who would literally schedule my time around, or I would schedule around someone
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like
Yeah.
that's not honoring yourself.
Totally.
And then just as a result, like they can, they feel less stressed. They feel like a weight's been lifted off their shoulders.
Mhm.
And then they'll have this time management system to just follow on their own. They can tweak it, they can really make it their own. But what it will work to do over the long haul, if they make this a lifestyle, is it will really help them to elevate in other areas of their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
create like more harmony and balance, like in their physical health and their emotional health, their spiritual health. I'm working with a client right now who we actually started off with the time management piece. Like, I
Mhm.
meet everybody where they're at. And this
Mhm.
just seemed to be, it was obvious that we needed to work on this piece first. And so we're like kind of halfway through our 3 months together. And I asked her the other day, like how she felt, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, she's using a paper planner. That's fine. She's like, I just feel like there's this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I feel like when we started, she felt like she's like, I don't know who I am anymore. I just feel like there's all these things I want to do, but I don't know like how to even like get started, or it's just like
Yeah.
this chaos, right? Chaos.
Yeah.
And she's going like this, right? So
Yeah.
it's like
That's
the
exactly what it feels like, right?
universe of things, right? And so she's just like, I just feel like, she's like, I feel really like in control. She used these words, like, I feel in control. I feel like I have a good handle on like, just like what's going on in my life. She's like, I feel like
Mm.
I have more structure in my day. She's like, and she's like, that makes me feel less stressed. She's like, I
Yeah.
don't feel so stressed all the time.
Oh my gosh.
She's
Yes.
like, I feel like a different person.
Mm. Amen. Yes, time, getting a handle on your time truly is like, I love that you just called it the number one stress reliever. I know it was for you, but like, we got to like double click on that because, many people think that it's, the things that are causing our stressor is what it's out there,
Yeah,
right? The circumstance, the person, the event is causing our
yeah,
stress. And when you reclaim your time and you take back control of your time, you're actually taking back control of your decisions on where it
mhm,
is that you want to put your energy, where it is that you want to focus your time and attention
yeah,
on, which then you're not a victim to all these other things out there
right,
because you've
right.
got this controlled here. This is so good.
Yeah,
So,
it's really, really, really empowering. And there's just something because I mean, it comes up all the time.
mhm,
I don't have time. I'm just like, God, why don't you count how many times? Just make a conscious
mhm,
effort to count how many times you say that today.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can catch myself saying it. I'm like,
yeah,
no, you're
yeah,
choosing to
yep,
spend your time on something else.
yes,
You have
yes,
complete
yep,
control over every minute of your day. You're just making decisions throughout
mhm,
your day on how you want to spend your time. So,
yep,
through this exercise, through this 3 days, we're going to take a really good look at that. And they might not like what they find out. They might
mhm,
just be like, oh, because when you write things down,
yep,
it's staring at you, it's truth. And it's like, ooh, like
mhm,
I spent that much time on social media. Like,
mhm.
whatever.
No idea, right? Yeah, this is so good. Christina, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story, being so vulnerable, being so courageous. And thank you for doing the work that you're doing. Like, this is so incredibly valuable to, help women, whether they're in recovery or whether they are caretaking for someone in recovery, really feel like they are in control of their lives and themselves again. Like, it's so like, it's priceless, right? We get this together. It's priceless. So everybody remember, click on the link below in the description. Go join the class. It's going to be amazing. Christina is like an expert on this. So you definitely want to go join her. And then Christina, any way that people can reach out to you aside from registering for the masterclass?
Yeah, so I have a private Facebook group. It's called Heal and Rise from Alcoholic Traumas to Living Your Purpose. I mean, if you search it on Facebook, it'll come right up. I not don't have a working website right now, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
I have a newsletter. If you want to get on the newsletter, you can reach out to me in Facebook DMs. Find me on Facebook. I got my first and we'll have my first and last name in
Yeah.
the comments here or whatever.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put all of these in the, yeah, we'll definitely. So we'll put the Facebook group in here for you, and you
yeah.
can also connect with Christina there. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to her. She is amazing and loving and kind, and she will certainly take care of you. So, Christina, thanks again for being here
This was so
today.
fun. Thank you so much for
You're
chatting
welcome.
with me. This was great. Thank you
It
so
was so
much.
fun. You're welcome. All right, everybody. Bye. We will see you back here next time.